Today we'll be tackling at money market hedge. This is one of the critical topic which must be tested. Last sitting it was not tested, so that means this time it will never miss. So now I want us to go back to the notes that I sent you earlier. First of all, we go some things there before we start doing our computation. Hoping you have all the past paper and the required material. I had already sent them earlier. So now let's go to the whiteboard. So to start with, we have what we are looking at foreign exchange markets or the forex market. You'll go through that. That one I'm not going to take you through, it's just English. Then we have the exchange rates used. In this case, we have the direct quote. Then we have the indirect quote. And you have to differentiate between the two. Whenever you have the direct quote, whenever you have the indirect quote. Now, the direct quote, this is where the home currency. Now, for example, in our country, our Kenya is our home currency. So in that case, where our home currency or the foreign currency, for example, now let's say that 100 shillings, you'll buy $1. So in this case, that means the US dollar becomes the commodity. So that means you require 100 Kenyan shillings for you to get $1. Now that's what we call the direct quote. Now for the indirect quote, this is where the home country currency becomes the commodity. For example, 30 Kenyan shillings or 30 Tanzanian shillings, you get 1 Kenyan shillings. I repeat again, that when you have the 30 Tanzanian shillings, you require to get 1 Kenyan shillings. So that means Kenyan shillings become the commodity. You require that units for you to buy 1 Kenyan shillings. So that's the difference between the direct quote and indirect quote. So direct quote, foreign currency is the commodity, but for the indirect quote, the home currency is the commodity. Then we have the foreign exchange rate, risks. We have the transaction risk. Then we have translation risk, and then we have economic risk. So those are the risks associated with foreign exchange rates. For example, transaction risk. This is the risk associated when the company is dealing or when the company involves exchange of currency, maybe US dollar, euros. Then we have translation risk. Now the translation risk, these are risk or the loss which arises when we translate the financial statement, maybe from one currency to another one, you end up getting what we call an exchange loss. That's what we call translation risk. Then we have what we call economic risk. Now economic risk, this is just a long-term movement in the exchange rate, which are put in the company by some competitive disadvantages. Yeah, that is it. So now let's look at something else. So now let's go to what we call the theories of foreign exchange. Theories of foreign exchange or the forex theories. Number one, we have what we call the purchasing power parity. Now, what's the purchasing power parity? And you have to differentiate those theories of foreign exchange because they are highly testable. Number one, we have the purchasing power parity. Now, for the purchasing power parity, this theory states that the exchange rates between two currencies are the same in equilibrium when the purchasing power of the currency is the same in each country. Now, under the purchasing power parity, inflation rate is the key consideration. So, under that theory, kindly note that under PPP or the purchasing power parity, what we need here to consider most is the inflation rate. And we have the formula there, where to get the S1, you take SO, 1 plus HC, you divide by 1 plus HC, where S1 is the future expected spot rate. Then we have SO. SO is the current spot rate. Then we have HC. Now the HC, that means inflation rate in the home currency. Also we have the HF. Now for the HF is the inflation rate in the foreign currency. So that's the formula. Now number two, we have the interest rate parity. Now for the interest rate parity, the key consideration here is the interest rate. We have said that under purchasing power parity, what we consider most is the inflation rate. But for the interest rate parity, what we consider is the interest rate. And under this, the difference between the spot and the forward rate reflects the difference in interest rate. And in this case, we have said that the interest rate is the key consideration. How do we compute that? In this case, to get FO, which is the forward exchange rate, you take SO, 1 plus interest rate in the home currency, you divide by 1 plus interest rate in the foreign currency. So the formula, they are kind of the same. The difference is that for the purchasing power, you'll be considering the inflation rate, but for the interest rate parity, you'll be considering at the interest rate. And then we have what we call the international Fisher effect. That's another theory. Now, international Fisher effect tries, it brings about the equilibrium price where you have the purchasing power and the interest rate parity. So it's provide the market discrepancies between the purchasing power parity and the interest rate parity. That means it considers both the interest as well as the inflation. So that means the international Fisher, that one comprises both the purchasing power parity and the interest rate parity. Then you'll go through what are the causes of inflation rate fluctuation. That's just English. Also the techniques that a company can use to hedge against the foreign exchange risk. Look at that. Now let's look at what we call international arbitrage. Go to international arbitrage. International arbitrage. And what's an arbitrage? Now arbitrage, we said that when we're looking at our last topic, when we're looking at the derivatives, remember we said that we have the participant in the derivative market, we call them the arbitragers. And we said that arbitragers are those who enter into the market to make profits. So also international arbitrage is just the process of trying to fill in the gap so that you can obtain a profit from those discrepancies. So this is what I mean. So for example, now assuming you have US dollars, like 100 US dollars, how can you change them into Kenyan shillings, to Tanzanian shillings, and then back to US, and you end up getting a gain? So now that's what you call arbitrage. So now arbitrage refers to the capitalizing of on the discrepancies on the quoted price. It therefore aims at maximizing profit at zero risk, but not zero cost. At zero risk, but not zero cost. So that means you have to incur some cost. So arbitrage in the foreign exchange at the international money market can take three forms. So we have three forms. Number one, we have what we call locational arbitrage. Locational arbitrage. Then also we have what we call the covered interest arbitrage. And then number three, we have what we call triangular arbitrage. So mostly I want to focus on the triangular arbitrage. So, and for a triangular arbitrage, this is an action to capitalize on the discrepancies where the quoted cross exchange rate is not equal to the actual rate, where the cross exchange rate is not equal to the actual exchange rate. So the appropriate cross exchange rate can be determined given a value of two alternative currencies in respect to other currencies. So in this case, how do we get cross exchange rate? Now this is how we get the cross exchange rate. This is how we get cross exchange rate. That cross exchange rate, you'll take the value of currency A in dollars, you divide by the value of currency B in dollars. That's the formula. To get the cross exchange rate, you take the value of currency A in dollars, you divide by the value of currency B in dollars. So now this is the process of triangular arbitrage. When we say triangle, this is what we mean a triangle. So you start with one currency. Now in this case, let's assume you have the US dollar. You have US dollars. Then you have other two currencies. For example, you may have the Japanese yen. You may have the Japanese yen, and then you have the pound. So in that case, so for the triangular arbitrage, you'll be dealing with three currencies. So now, assuming the holder or the participant in the money market is holding US dollars. So in this case, for you to determine which movement to go, you can go this way or you can go this way. But you have to complete the triangular base. This is what I mean. First of all, you will determine between the value of Japanese yen and euro, which one is overvalued, which one is undervalued. So, for example, assuming in this case, the value of the pound is overvalued. So that means if you have the US dollar, first of all, you convert that amount to the overvalued amount. So that means you convert them into pound. Then you convert them pound into Japanese yen, and then yen back to US dollar. In that case, out of the triangular arbitrage, you have what we call an arbitrage triangular gain. I repeat again. When you start with the currency at a certain point, first of all, you have to evaluate the cross exchange rate to determine which currency is over or undervalued. If the value or if the currency is overvalued, so you convert the US dollar to the overvalued currency. Assuming it's Japanese yen, so first of all, you have to convert to Japanese yen, then to pound, back to US dollar. Now that's the process, the whole process of triangular arbitrage. So now let's look at an illustration. We look at an illustration. We look at an illustration. Illustration 1. Yeah. So consider the following actual exchange rates. 1 Kenyan shillings is that dollar. 1 Tanzania shillings is that what is equals to that dollars. Then 1 Kenyan shillings is equals to 20 Tanzanian shillings. So required, compute the gain from the triangular arbitrage to an investor with $200,000 to invest. So how can you perform a triangular arbitrage? So in this case, remember you have said that first of all, you need to get what you call cross exchange. The cross exchange rate. And we have said that you take the value of currency A in dollars, you divide by value of currency B in dollars. Now, in this case, what will determine what will be numerator and denominator? So in this case, we have 1 Kenyan shillings is equals to 20 Tanzanian shillings. So you start with the Kenyan shillings, and we are told that 1 Kenyan shillings is equals to $0.015. So that means you will take 0.015, that's value of currency A in dollars. Then you divide by value of currency B in dollars. Kenyan shillings to Tanzanian shillings. So that means 1 Tanzanian shillings is equals to $0.0008. So value of currency B in dollars is 0.0008. And by doing that, what do you get? So you'll get that, you'll get 18.75. What does that mean? That means 1 Kenyan shillings is the same as 18.75 Tanzanian shillings. This is what I'm following. 1 Kenyan shilling is equals to 20 Tanzanian shillings. So that means the actual cross exchange rate is 1 Kenyan shillings is equals to 18.75 Tanzanian shillings. But from the question, 1 Kenyan shillings is equals to 20 Kenyan shillings. So that means the Kenyan shillings is overvalued. Let me make this clear. The actual cross exchange rate should be 18.75 for you to get 1 Kenyan shillings. But in the market, this is how they are performing in the market. You require 20 Tanzania units for you to get 1 Kenyan shillings. So this is the actual rate. This is the actual rate, but this is how it's trading. So you see the Kenyan shilling has been overvalued. So it's when the Kenyan shilling is overvalued, that means this is how you perform the triangular arbitrage. So you have the US dollar, you have the Tanzanian shillings, and then you have the Kenyan shillings. Since Kenyan shillings has been overvalued, that means you convert the US dollar into Kenyan shillings. Then you convert Kenyan shillings to Tanzanian shillings, and then Tanzanian shillings back to US dollar. So step number 1, we have said that Kenyan shillings is overvalued. That means you need to convert US dollars to Kenyan shillings. That's the second step. First of all, get the cross exchange rate, then you determine which one is overvalued. So now we are converting US dollar to Kenyan shillings. From the question, we are told that 1 Kenyan shillings is equals to $0.015. So that 1 Kenyan shillings is equals to $0.015. And you are told that this investor has $200,000 to invest. So what about $200,000? $200,000. You'll get how much? So in this case, so it's $200,000. You divide by 0.015. So in that case, you'll get Kenyan shillings 13,333,333. That's the first step. Then US dollar to Kenyan shillings. then Kenyan shillings to Tanzanian shillings. So step number 2, you convert Kenyan shillings to Tanzanian shillings. Now in this case, they are changing at 1 Kenyan shillings is equals to 20 Tanzanian shillings. So for 1 Kenyan shillings is equals to 20 Tanzanian shillings. What about 13,333 Kenyan shillings? You'll get how many Tanzanian shillings? So in that case, so it's 13,333, you multiply by 20. So by that case, you'll get Tanzanian shillings 266,666,667. So you have 266,666,667 Tanzanian shillings. Now, Kenyan shillings to Tanzanian shillings. Now you have the Tanzanian shillings, then you take them back, you convert them back to US dollars. So you convert Tanzanian shillings to US dollar back. So how do we convert that? We are told that one Tanzanian shillings is equals to $0.0008. That 1 Tanzanian shillings is equals to $0.0008 US dollars. What about, in this case, we have 266,666,667 Tanzanian shillings will be equals to how many US dollars? So if you compute that, that means it's 266, you cross multiply. You multiply by 0.008. By doing so, you'll get 213,333. So in that case, you have a gain. So for now, you have 213,333 US dollar, but initially before the arbitrage process, you had $200,000. So that means from that arbitrage, you have a gain of 13,333 US dollar. So first of all, you compute the cross exchange rate, you determine the actual rate. After you determine the actual rate, now you compare this actual rate against the current market rate. Like for example, the current market rate in this case was 20. So you see the actual rate, you are supposed to pay only 18.75 to get 1 Kenyan shillings. But from the market, you have to pay 20 to get 1 Kenyan shillings. So that means the Kenyan shillings has been overvalued. That means you convert the US dollar to the overvalued currency, which is Kenyan shillings. And you'll get 13.33. Then from Kenyan shillings to Tanzanian shillings, then Tanzanian shillings back to US dollar.